the Kingmaker here with a very important conversation. And this is for men, women, teenagers, parents. So first, I'm going to talk to women about my experience. I'm the kind of person who, if I see someone being mistreated or anything, oh my God, don't let it be my children. My children know I will burn everything to the ground, okay? Like, this is not a game. But when it comes to me, I'm more hesitant about standing up for myself. And I just realized this, because when I think about myself, I don't think about myself that way, but I realized that there were certain things that I just wasn't being outwardly, that I was not addressing that I needed to. Things that I was accepting that I shouldn't have. I'm gonna give you an example. Something as simple as you're in a social setting. Maybe you're having a conversation with a guy and this is not someone you're dating, even trying to date, probably would never date. And they are taking the liberty of touching your shoulder, your back, your hip, whatever the case is. And in your mind, you're going, please stop touching me. How many of us say, sir, excuse me, I don't mean to be offensive, but you need my permission to touch me. Thank you. And walk away politely. How many of us laugh and just kind of shrug it off or just kind of inch, further away? I found myself being in that situation and realizing that instead of my initial instinct being to just say that, I was putting up with it. That is probably one of the mildest examples. We have talked a lot about the idea of men and women being psychologically different. We think different, we move different. And I have mentioned multiple times recently, especially in this movement of empowering women to stand up for themselves and stand in their power and not accept bullshit. It has caused me to do a lot of evaluating myself on areas where I'm doing that. One of the things that we've discussed, though, is that men have this desire to conquer kind of naturally, to take what they want. And women, this is the advice I give my daughters. If you're going on a first date with a man, do not let him pick you up. Unless this is someone that you've been friends with, or maybe a coworker, someone that you trust. So it can't just be somebody you work with or somebody, it needs to be somebody that you are you're certain that you're, good with. Otherwise, and maybe even then, always drive. Have your own transportation. Be able to leave when you feel like it. Do not be at the mercy of someone else. Don't be stuck in a car you can't get out of. Don't put yourself in those circumstances. I also recommend don't go back to a guy's place unless you are prepared to sleep with him. It doesn't mean you have to sleep with him, but don't put yourself in a position where you are going to be uncomfortable unless you have to. There is no reason to, and this advice is double-edged, right? Women need to take steps to protect ourselves. We do. It's unfortunate, though, and that's the double-edged part. I have been in circumstances myself where I have set expectations with the man that whether it's, hell, I've even had this happen with an ex, someone that I actually should have been able to trust, where I set expectations about my presence wherever we were and what I wasn't going to do or where they're supposed to be or stay. And they just didn't give a shit. They didn't listen. And in one of the situations, I was really, really fucked up, tipsy, beyond tipsy. So the the expectation that I set, I wasn't even in a position to uphold it because I was so out of it. And this takes me to another thing, prevention wise. So I didn't actually start drinking alcohol until I was like 26. So, and I don't know if this is just true for me, but I am very clear when I don't need any more. Like, when I'm at the point of tipsy, I'm good. I don't understand how grown people are drunk, like, as a thing that they do regularly. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that someone would purposefully get drunk to the point that they would be throwing up. Like, I've probably thrown up 3 times in my life because of alcohol. And it was never because of alcohol that I chose to drink, that like I went and poured for myself. It was never that. So I remember being at a business conference, and I'd had a glass or 2 of wine, and then everybody wanted to take shots, and you feel like you have to participate. You don't I have been with guys that I was in a relationship with that kept pouring drinks and giving me drinks, like I'm like, you don't, like, and maybe because that's their threshold, I don't know what was in their head at the time, but it was beyond mine. And I didn't just say no. In my mind, I think part of me was like, this drink probably cost $20. Like, I don't want to be wasteful, or this bottle is whatever, or they pour. And there was some part of me that did not feel comfortable with just telling them no. I have been in circumstances like that where I'm out socializing and I might be with a guy or talking to a guy or whatever, and they keep pouring drinks. And I'm drinking because they keep pouring drinks in my hand. But I'm not stopping to think about, like, do I even want this? I'm just drinking because this is so, I mean, it's been years since any of these things happened, but my recommendation is know when you're done. And regardless to the social pressures around you, whether it's friends, colleagues, or a guy that you're interested in, know your limit and stay there, because you never want to be out of control. And being drunk isn't cute. Like on male or female, it's not cute. And neither is throwing up. So we like the feeling of being tipsy. We don't really need anything beyond that. It's not required. So there's no need to put yourself in that situation to make somebody else feel better. Okay. So they shouldn't have ordered the drink without your permission. So who cares if they wasted $20 or whatever it was? You are not required to take the shots. And if you're going to go to a party, like I literally was having this conversation with my almost 18-year-old, you need to take a friend with you that will have your back. Not somebody who's going to get sloppy drunk and be passed out in another room and is not going to be watching out for you. You all both need to have the presence of mind to be vigilant and making sure that each other is okay, and that you both get there together and leave together. And that nobody's getting too drunk, or somebody's not slipping nothing in their drink or passing around drugs. Like, even as adults, I recommend that. Have somebody who will have your back, okay? Now, that's the first side of it. I just listed out 4 or 5 things that women have to do to protect themselves against men. I'm just going to let that settle in for a second. Men, I'm going to give you a really easy way to know if a woman is interested in you. She is making eye contact with you. She is going out of her way to smile and be engaging. If this happened to me literally 3 days ago, or 2, I'm at the gas station, I'm pumping gas, and this guy walks up to me or walks near me and starts speaking to me, said something about a beautiful woman, and I couldn't really understand what he was saying. And he had an accent, and I think what he said it 4 times and I still didn't hear it, but it's something like, I couldn't walk past a beautiful woman or something like that. So I'm like, ha ha ha, whatever. Keep pumping my gas. Then he goes, "Are you married?" So I said no. And then he's like, "Well, I could be your husband." And I'm like, I think I said, I'm in a relationship or something like that. And then he goes, "Well, I can be your friend." And then he proceeds to keep talking and keep harassing me. And I'm like, already pulled away from the pump at the corner, and he's still trying to talk to me. So let me explain something. Men, and I hope that you share this with other men. Just because a woman is not married does not mean she is interested in you. Okay? If a woman is doing her best to get away from you, if she's not making eye contact with you, if she's not smiling at you, if she's giving you the shortest, briefest answers on the planet, she is not interested. And you continuing to push her is not going to help. She's not going to become more interested. Okay? I literally, someone like a week ago, 3 times in one day, are you married? And I'm thinking, and then after I said no, the answer was, or they proceeded to try to, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so annoying. And this is the other thing, women. And you know, I have an ex who we talked about this, and this was, he's right. We will tell them we're married or we're in a relationship just to get them to stop, when we should be more than confident in saying, thank you, I'm not interested. That's very kind of you. Whatever the compliment is, I'm not interested. You don't have to justify your lack of interest. You do not have to be married. You do not have to be in a relationship. You do not have to, like, and I remember I not too long ago was telling, like, somebody was like, well, you're in a relationship. Well, we can just go out and be friends. And I'm going, so I said something like, my significant other is not going to like that, or whatever the case is. Why am I justifying my lack of interest to this man? Men, so help me God. Your persistence is not helping you in these situations. When a woman is saying she's not interested or no, it was that old thing we used to hear when we were younger, no means no. No really does mean no. Understand when a woman is interested in you and let her make the first move. That's the best advice I can give you. And I don't mean to communicate. I mean anything beyond that. Allow her to communicate with you what she wants. Do not touch her without her permission. Do not assume that because she is not married that she is your future wife, or that she must want you. I really don't understand where guys get this idea from. Like me, for example, I have a very specific type. So 99.9% of men who hit on me will never have a chance. And I try to be polite, and I try to just be like, you know, haha, whatever. I am not giving them any of the cues. I'm not making eye contact. I'm not turning towards them, and none of that is happening. I'm doing my best to maneuver away from them. Okay. And yet they still try. Now, so men, pay attention to the cues and allow women, like if a woman is staring at you, if a woman is giving you, you know, those eyes that we give, if a woman is smiling, if she's doing any of those things, then that is a way for you to know that she may be interested. But that still doesn't mean you get to touch her. It still doesn't mean you get to. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. And you all may have seen, I'm doing a business builder workshop, an 8-week free workshop for aspiring business owners, or even those who have already started a business that may be interested in gaining some more traction or having more success than they're already having. So all 3 of my children have businesses. My oldest daughter has a hair business. My son has a gaming business, and my youngest daughter has a jewelry business. So I'm having a conversation with my oldest daughter, and this probably was like a month or so ago, and she was in a mood, and she says, you know, she doesn't want to do the business anymore. And I couldn't get her to really tell me what was going on then. So recently we have another conversation about it, and I just really got her to tell me. And the reason she stopped doing her business, so her main customers were the boys that she goes to high school with, because they get the little twists in their hair, and she does that. She's done it for her uncle, she's done it for family friends, and people noticed that she was good at it, so they asked her to do it. The reason she stopped wanting to do it was because one of the boys who asked her to do it tried to kiss her twice, before and after the session. And even though she moved away and was like, yo, you getting too close, you in my personal space here, you whatever, he did not get the point that you are not allowed to do that to me. So at the end of the session before they left, he tried to do it again. Like, she had to move her face so that he wouldn't have done it. And this boy is probably 16, 17 years old. So, and I've had grown men do the same thing. Like, we're not in a relationship. I didn't tell you you could kiss me. And I had to like move my head so that I didn't end up like, That is the equivalent of an unsolicited pic of your genitals. It's that bad. I have been in situations where I have set very clear expectations of what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do, what's going to happen in this environment. I'm trying to just get to know you. And I have experienced men not caring. And then I now feel uncomfortable, or now I'm in men. So there was this guy I was dating, or we were friends for a while. And then, after about 6 months, things escalated, but they didn't just escalate. Like, I was kind of open to the idea, but then he asked me if he could touch me. And at first I laughed because nobody had ever done that. But when I'm thinking back on it, I am so happy he asked me. He gave me, because I wasn't doing anything to him. Like, I wasn't pursuing it because that wasn't what I was thinking at the time. But I am not the kind of person, and a lot of women are willing to let you know what they want. But I've even had sexual encounters that I really wouldn't have had if I didn't now feel like I'm in the circumstance and this has happened and this. I'm not going to hate the person or anything like that, but that's not really what I wanted to do. And I did it because this person now was seeming like they were expecting it because liberties were being taken or assumed because of location and proximity and stuff like that. Men, there is a certain point when you are in a relationship with a woman where there is a level of trust where maybe you can take what you want. However, if you all are not there, if you're not in a relationship with this person, if you're just casually dating or whatever the case is, err on the side of caution. Ask, can I this? Can I that? Are you okay with holding, like, my daughter is hanging out with this young man who has been nothing but phenomenal. And even then he's asking her like, hey, can I hold your hand? Like, and this is why this is necessary. You all have this sense of wanting to conquer, to take, to control. We are not objects. We are human beings. And I have recently been thinking about all of the things, all the times that I did something I didn't want to do because I felt like it would be uncomfortable or a problem for the guy if I just decided to back out of something that I didn't even intend to be in. Like, I didn't say, hey, come do this to me. Like, that's not what happened. Yet we are here and there deciding. And I'm like, now I'm feeling like I kind of have to. And that's insane. Why do we think that we have to go along with shit like this? And I'm sharing my very personal experience because I think sometimes men believe that this stuff doesn't really happen. That we're like, and first of all, I hate the name Me Too movement. Like, with a passion that's hard to explain. The movement should have been named Speak Up. Stand up for yourself. Me Too has a connotation of like, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I don't know who named it, but I've even heard men talk about that as though it's some kind of thing that will come and get them when they're minding their business. And this isn't exactly that, but it's a close cousin. Women should not have to protect themselves against you guys. I should not have dinner with an ex of mine that we're still friends with, and he decides to take liberties that don't belong to him. Even if he thinks I like it or whatever the case is, or I will like it or I will enjoy it, not your call. That's not a decision you get to make. And a lot of times, if we're tipsy, inebriated, whatever, we're a lot less like likely to put up a bunch of a fight about it. But as soon as we're sober, we're thinking back to what happened and going, why did I let this happen? Or I didn't want to do this. So mothers and fathers, parents, teach your male children to keep their hands to themselves. That they are to ask permission before they attempt to physically do anything to any woman if she has not explained or made it explicitly clear what she wants. And if said woman has explained that this is what we are doing here, nothing more than this, that they are to respect that. And for the men whose parents did not teach them this, apparently, I need you to hear me. Women should not be having to protect themselves against you. Some of you have daughters. Would you want your daughter experiencing any of the things that I've mentioned that have happened to me, or even my own daughter? We need to be women. We need to take the precautions to make sure that, because every man hasn't seen this post yet. Hopefully this will be passed along and the right people will see it. But we need to protect ourselves and teach our daughters to protect themselves in some of the ways that I've mentioned and any others, to make sure that they're never in a circumstance where they are uncomfortable. And men, y'all have to do better. You have to do better. Continuously pouring drinks for women who aren't asking for them, continuously approaching or attempting to get them to do things that they are not saying that they want to do. Some of it is even socially accepted. It's like, oh, come on, you're all right. It's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. I had a woman tonight I was talking to tell me that a man was doing all kind of things to her. And then when she was telling him to stop, he was like, oh, it's fine. You're okay. Like, the audacity of human beings to believe that what someone is saying out of their mouth is like, just because a woman did not kick you in your nuts and claw out your eyes does not mean that she is, because you don't want this is what I think men don't get. You don't want us to go there. Us saying, no, I don't want to do this. This doesn't make me comfortable. Please stop. You're too close. That should be enough. So please heed what I'm talking about. Hopefully this will spark further discussion and we can do better with teaching our children how to interact with women. So by the time they're adults, they're not doing this dumb shit. But no woman should be uncomfortable because of you. If you're making her uncomfortable, if you're making any woman uncomfortable, that's a problem. Until next time, sending light, love, and gratitude always. The Kingmaker.